Welcome to Conservative Viewpoint, where the truth always matters. Your hosts are Charlie the Country Conservative and Brendan Statler from The Brendan Statler Show. Now on with the show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Conservative Viewpoint. Tonight, we're tackling two hot button topics, but so many more. But the two top ones we got here today is Joe Biden's tax hikes that he's going to start. Now, and I was going to just say capital gain tax hike, but you liberals out there won't even understand what capital gains is. So we're going to go with tax hike because it's going to affect all of us. Upper, middle, lower class, it don't matter. We're all going to get hit with tax hikes. But Joe Biden promised this whole damn time that he was never going to do. So the controversy surrounds his interactions, also his interactions with children. And of course, we can't forget about Donald Trump, who continues to be a lightning rod for political discussion. So the installed President Joe Biden's proposed budget for the fiscal year 2025 has sent shockwaves through the financial world. The stock market's crashing. The GDP is at 1.6. Everything is going to hell. Inflation is going through the roof. You idiot liberals don't think so. Pay attention. So he wants to nearly double the capital gains tax rate for a long-term investment, raising it from a maximum of 20% to a whopping 44.6%. And if you're an investor making over $1 million a year, get ready to feel the pinch. But critics argue that this move stifles economic growth. Well, no kidding. And it punishes people for success. Well, that's not the only ones who are going to be punished. So while proponents claim it's about fairness and ensuring the wealthy pay their fair share, the wealthy's already paying more than twice as much as we are. So let's address the elephant in the room. Those viral videos showing installed President Biden disgustingly interacting with kids. Now, some say it's innocent. I don't think so. Well, normal people would say it's totally disgusting. Now, in Finland, at Helsinki Vantaa Airport, Biden was caught on camera nibbling a toddler's shoulder. But it says they say context matters. Well, the woman holding the child was the wife of the U.S. ambassador to Finland. Well, she was laughing after the interaction. Well, that makes it even worse. But, you know, conspiracy theories abound, painting Joe as a pedophile. But let's keep our discussion grounded in facts. And the fact is, videos don't lie. And finally, the man who never faced from spotlight, Donald Trump, in an historic twist, he became the first president to face fraudulent federal charges. The corrupt Department of Justice indicted him on fake charges of mishandling classified documents. And of course, you know he's played not guilty because he's not guilty for 37 counts of it. Whether you love him or loathe him, Trump's legal saga continues to captivate the nations. So buckle up, everyone, as we dive deep into these topics, dissecting policy decisions and exploring the drama. So stay tuned for a lively and thought-provoking episode. What's going on tonight, Brendan?
Well, there's another story coming out of Ukraine. As many of you know, we just sent another aid package to Ukraine earlier this week, but apparently the U.S. also secretly sent long-range missiles to Ukraine after months of resistance, according to CNN. According to CNN, the U.S. delivered long-range missiles to Ukraine earlier this month that the Biden administration had previously refused to send following a directive from Joe Biden, the Pentagon said Wednesday. Biden secretly approved the transfer of long-range ATACMS, that's spelled ATACMS, missiles in February for use inside Ukrainian territory. The ATACMS missiles were then quietly included in the $300 million aid package announced on March 12th and ultimately delivered to Ukraine earlier this month, according to the Pentagon. So, and that's not all, by the way. Apparently, we are supposed to. Let me get the exact text on this. We're supposed to be more missiles are expected to be included in the new military assistance package the Pentagon announced on Wednesday. So they're getting even more long-range missiles from the United States after Biden signed this most recent Ukrainian aid package into law. So we're getting more and more involved in this war that we shouldn't be involved in. This is just another example of the disaster that Joe Biden has put the United States in. We're on the cusp of World War III. We're going to be involved in another Vietnam-style war, a war that we have no business being in, and a war that is honestly unwinnable. Ukraine has no chance of winning this war. All this recent aid package does, along with these long-range missiles, all this accomplishes is putting a Band-Aid on the situation. Ukraine is not going to win. There are actually many military-age fighting men in Ukraine trying to leave the country because they are tired of fighting. They see what is happening. They see that victory is impossible at this point, and it just shows the inhumane nature of the Washington swamp to continue to fund a war that Ukraine has no chance of winning, and it's going to cost even more Ukrainian lives. And one other thing I wanted to mention here real quick, Charlie, for everybody that's been listening to us over the last couple of weeks when it comes to these protests on college campuses, these pro-Hamas Sharia supremacists protesting and camping out on college campuses. It turns out that George Soros is indeed paying student radicals to protest all over the nation at these universities. We've been saying this for a couple weeks now, and this really isn't shocking. So it wasn't a hard prediction to make because this is what George Soros did with the riots of 2020. He funded them, and it's not surprising that he would fund hatred against Jews, although George Soros himself is a Jew. But a little backstory on George Soros that not a lot of people know about. George Soros actually lived through Nazi Germany. George Soros worked with Nazi soldiers to give away the location of Jews that were hiding in Nazi Germany. This guy sold out his own people to Nazi soldiers. So this isn't surprising. And this is the guy that funds the deep state. This guy is truly evil. So this is how the swamp makes all their money. That is why these people are protesting. I knew it from the start. I knew these people could not believe in this because leftists are the most laziest and uneducated people in the country. I knew there had to be some funding behind this, and I knew it was George Soros.
All right, back to your original story about the Ukraine bill package and everything. Now, I just got this a little bit ago, and I was going to save it for Monday, but since you brought it up, the U.S. has just announced that they are giving Ukraine another $6 billion long-term military aid package to Ukraine to buy weapons from them. Believe this? I just got this not long ago. A $6 billion long-range military aid package for Ukraine, the largest to date, which will allow the U.S. to purchase new equipment produced by the American defense industry for the Ukraine military. Now, what the hell is the $60 billion that they're just sending them from that aid package going to if they have to give them this contract for another $6 billion? Who the hell is allowing this to happen?
Well, I mean, this is what has been happening throughout this entire war, the entire time we've been funding it. You remember Marjorie Taylor Greene, along with other Freedom Caucus members, have been trying to get an audit of where all of our money has gone in Ukraine. And we can never get that answer. We still have not gotten that answer today. You know, you're sending billions upon billions of dollars, is taxpayer dollars, by the way.
Right.
We should know where every cent of that money is going. That should be open to the public. That should have been open to the public from the start. That should happen every time we send money anywhere. We should know exactly where it's going. We shouldn't have to have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz asking for an audit in Congress. That should be provided immediately. As soon as that money is sent, we know where every cent of it is going. But we don't, because they are money laundering. It is going to rebuild Ukraine, because I really believe this is what's happening here. I believe that these people in Washington, D.C. are anticipating Trump's victory. And Ukraine is going to be the nation they run away to. They are buying off protection. I believe that is what is happening. These people are going to flee to Ukraine.
Well, I just don't understand how they're getting this money without being approved through the House and Senate first, because just days ago, they sent another $1 billion package that would quickly provide equipment to Ukraine from U.S. stocks. And following Joe President signing the much delayed $95 billion aid package, so he sent $1 million on his own. Who gives him the authority to do this bullshit?
No, it absolutely has to go through the House and Senate. I don't know, because I haven't seen this. Do they already have it? Has it already been approved, or is it just something they're talking about?
No, this is something that's already done. He signed it and sent $1 million right before.
Really?
And sent $1 million before this. And then the Secretary of Defense just said this was it. That's today at 3:03. This article came out that they approved this $6 billion. Who the hell gave them permission to send the $6 billion? That's where I don't get. And this is bullshit, because they're getting $60.8 billion from this aid package.
Yeah,
that's something we got to look into.
Yeah, the sooner you realize these people, and I don't care what party it is, because plenty of Republicans, including Mike Judas Johnson, made this happen. These people do not work for us. I'm telling you, I really believe they are buying protection in Ukraine. These either that or they're being blackmailed, or it's money laundering, or it could be a combination of all of the above.
Exactly.
But something shady is going on in Ukraine. Ukraine is not this beacon for democracy as the media portrays it to be. There's something terribly wrong happening in Ukraine. We have homeless veterans and homeless children that have nowhere to go, nothing to eat. Here in the United States, we can't do anything for our own people, but we could send billions upon billions overseas to Ukraine. We just sent them $60 billion not even a week ago, and now we're sending them, what was it, $6 billion or $6 million?
$6 billion, B.
Okay, so we're sending them $6 billion more dollars. It's absolutely disgusting. Anybody that signs off on any more money for Ukraine, including these last two packages, should be fired immediately.
Yep. Now, before we get much deeper into this, I want to ask you guys, make sure you guys go to our Rumble pages. Mine is Country Conservative, and Brendan is the Brendan Statler Show here on Rumble. Check out our videos. Hit those thumbs up. Don't forget to comment. Give us good comments, bad comments. We don't care, because if you give us a bad comment, that'll help us improve our streams, our live podcasts for you guys, and improve it for you so you enjoy it a lot more. So please leave us some comments in there. Don't forget to share our videos with your friends and family, and help us get the truth out to people, because the November election is closing in on us like quick as hell. And we need to get this truth out and wake people up. Make sure they vote Republican, because the stuff that we go over, especially here in a second, what we're looking forward to if a Democrat gets in. And that's tax hikes like crazy. And that's the first thing I'm going to go over here. But I did post a link in the Rumble chat, and I didn't get up to Twitter yet here to do that there. I did post a link there. If anybody wants to ask a question or make a comment or anything, click on that link. That'll bring you to our page and let you join the show. So if you have any questions or comments, just don't hesitate to click on that link. You want to come on and be on the show with us? We are more than happy to have you guys. So
Yeah,
the
and
links are there. Go ahead.
good. Okay. I just wanted to remind everyone real quick because I just started doing this recently. I'm also posting my videos onto my Twitter account. So you guys can find me there on Twitter as well. My name on Twitter is the Brendan Statler Show. My handle is at Let's Go Brendan _5. So you can find my videos there as well. If any of you aren't on Rumble, you can still find me on Twitter.
So there you go. So please follow us. Make sure you follow us either on Rumble or Twitter. You can do that. I'm under Country Conservative and Twitter too. Follow us there. I don't get too much on YouTube. I just got a violation on Twitter on TikTok because of the title on the show today, because it said Pedo Joe on it. You believe that bullshit? This is a
Actually, yes,
yeah,
I do
yeah.
actually.
But they gave me a violation because it said Pedo Joe. Well, who the hell Pedo Joe? If they knew who it was, it's true. And we know it's true because we see it every day. So that's bullshit anyway. But anyway.
Those aren't normal interactions with kids that we see all the time. There's
no.
This is the same guy that had.
I got some of that today too.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring up
the show here in a little bit. But first, we're going to get into these tax hikes, because right now Joe Biden wants a 44.6% capital gains tax. And for you idiot liberals out there, that's way above your pay grade. You'll never understand that. But it is going to propose a 100-year high. So his proposal to increase the capital gains tax and to such a rate in over a century. So now I got a video on this. So let me get to it here. Talking about this. And where the hell did it go? And there we go. Here we go. Listen to this. It's a minute 51 seconds about these taxes. But then we're going to talk about how you and I are going to be affected by this too. And he said he would never do this. So listen to this.
President Biden's proposal for taxing the wealthy would make the capital gains tax the highest in the world. Robert Frank joins us now with more. You're like a tax aficionado, basically.
I am the tax man, Joe. President Biden has, of course, proposed raising the top capital gains rate to the same level as ordinary income. Now, combined with state taxes, that plan would give the U.S. the highest capital gains tax rate in the world. The president's plan calls for hiking the rate from 23.8% to 43.4% for any income over $1 million. Now, most states also tax capital gains at ordinary income rates. So, according to the Tax Foundation, state taxes would add an average of 5 percentage points to the federal, bringing the total combined rate to 48.4%. That would be far and away the highest rate in the world. That would pass Denmark with 42%, Chile with 40%, and France with 34%. The U.S. would also rank highest in the world for dividend taxes. Now, since dividends come from after-tax corporate profits, the combined corporate and dividend tax rate would be over 65%. That beats number 2 ranked Ireland and South Korea. Now, the Tax Foundation is saying higher rates on individual shareholders reduce the return to savings and higher.
Now, you see what I'm talking about. Now, this is if you got capital gains and all the investments and stuff like that. Now, for all of us normal people that don't have that kind of money, but this was 2 days ago, Biden's promised through his campaign and through everything else that nobody making below, what did he say, 900,000 or something like that, 100, whatever it was.
Yeah,
it was high.
Yeah.
But now Biden is calling for a middle tax class hike. You get this. Now, he lied his ass off. Now, he makes a statement, and I didn't get this into the show because this just came out. He made a tweet, or one of his staff did, that actually knows what's going on in the world. Said Donald Trump was very proud of his $2 trillion tax cut that overwhelmingly benefited the wealthy and biggest corporations. Now, what he doesn't understand, because he knows nothing about economics, is when you give a tax break to these big corporations, that comes back to us. And that means that prices are lower and everything like that. But what he is proposing now is going to put a hike on us. It's going to add any family earning $90,000 is slightly below the median of Biden's home estate in Delaware. They see a tax rate hike of 12 to 15%. That is like $6,000 a year. And he said nothing's going to happen. But Biden, said he was going to hike federal income taxes from about $350 a year to $2,875. Now that's for us. This is more what we're going to pay because of this idiot and his failures. And this is something why we do these videos, because we cannot let this happen. If this idiot gets in, we are screwed. And that's not only talking about raising the taxes on it, but it's also going to let him get the digital dollar through. And then they're going to control all your money. So they can take what they want. They can freeze what they want. We're screwed if the Democrats get in November. That's why we got to get this. We got to win this election. We have
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is war on the middle class. What much like everything else has been that Joe Biden has done since he was installed into the White House. You know, it's all about devaluing the dollar with the orgy of spending and the endless printing of money.
Yeah.
Raising interest rates, as we said, you know, rate hikes. You know, how many times has that happened since this idiot's been in the White House? They're crippling the middle class. That's why they try so hard to do something such as raise the federal minimum wage. You know, particularly here in Pennsylvania, we've talked about this before. The minimum wage here in Pennsylvania currently is $7.25 an hour. Our current governor, Josh Shapiro, is pushing to make it $15 an hour here. Now, on top of the taxes we already have here in Pennsylvania, can you imagine what that would do to an area like this, Charlie? It would ruin everything. All the mom and pop shops would close. The only businesses that would survive would be the Dollar Generals, the Walmarts, even the Giant Eagles. You know, these types of places. You know, that would just completely cripple the middle class. You wouldn't be able to afford to pay for anything. You know, you'd be paying $10 for a gallon of milk and probably $15 a gallon of gas. But that's what the Democrats have done ever since they have had complete power, essentially, because we're not getting any help from the Republicans in the House. So they still essentially have had complete power this entire time. This is a war against the people. We are currently in a civil war. That is what is happening right now. They are trying to take every one of us out financially. So we're nothing, you know, so we can't fight back against these people. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. And so we're not paying attention to what's going on because we're so stressed about making ends meet, putting food on the table, and so on and so forth. This is all by design.
You can't print money that you don't have. You can't print money.
Nope.
And
this is what happens.
Take in. So this is why we need to win November 2. I mean, there's so many reasons why we have to win in November. And getting this Pedo Joe out of here, and that's what we're going to get into right now. Because he just can't help himself. Joe Biden caught creeping a little girl and rubbing her face during a campaign stop. That is just disgusting. Joe Biden has something seriously wrong with him, and people have tried to pretend that he's normal, but we're not talking about his dementia. We're talking about the other thing. And when you talk about it, people know what the other thing is. So it's just disgusting that Joe Biden constantly does this, and people just need to stop enabling this behavior. And that is why we cannot let this keep going. I'm going to let you watch this video real quick. It's about 1:23 long because you got to see what this is. Stuff that is live on camera, and people should be concerned about this. To pay attention, let's look at it.
Joe Biden's cognitive and physical decline has been well documented throughout his administration. Mumbles and stumbles often make headlines and are mocked by primetime television hosts. But what is not widely spoken about is Joe Biden's creepiness. Sniffing children, inappropriate touching, and strange whispering have all come up multiple times throughout his presidency. but the mainstream media seem to sweep the concerning behaviour under the rug. Sky News All-Stars Rita Panahi, Paul Murray and James Morrow exposed Joe Biden's creepiest moments.
All right, now that's one of the second one I'm going to show you here in a second, because he made a campaign stop in Pittsburgh at the steel mill this week. And there were some children in the crowd and who were ushered up to the front to stand near him. Now, Joe Biden could not restrain himself. As you will see in this video, Joe Biden reaches out and starts seductively caressing a preteen girl. This is disgusting. Watch this.
Biden's Department of Commerce also imposed tariffs on steel imports, which are priced below the fair and competitive market value. In addition, the president's directing his senior team to work with Mexico to prevent China from avoiding tariffs on steel and aluminum imported from Mexico into America.
But now you see this just happened. And and the one that I just showed you, and I could have played 32 more seconds of that video on the first ones you saw, but there are hundreds of other good reasons why Joe Biden should never be allowed back in the office or in this country. But this seems to be the most important. Joe Biden's own daughter even admitted in her diary that he forced her to take inappropriate showers with him when she was a little girl. Hunter Biden even had him listed in his cell phone under Pedo Peter. Now, if you want to vote for Joe Biden in November, that's exactly what you are supporting. You're supporting pedophiles, and you are disgusting pigs if you do vote for this man.
Absolutely. I mean, it all goes back to, of course, they celebrate pedophilia. I mean, look at how much they support the trans mafia. What that has become. This is the party of sexualizing children. Like you said, Joe Biden's own daughter wrote in her diary about taking showers with her dad, Joe Biden. I mean, who does that? That's weird. I mean,
yeah,
definitely weird enough to where she felt the need to write it in her diary. But you see how this guy interacts with kids all the time. It's weird. That's not something that normal people do when interacting with kids. I mean, all that's just weird. And you could see, like, even the kids, it doesn't matter how young they are. You could see the expression on their face. They know this isn't normal. They know this isn't right. None of them like it, but he keeps doing it. It's weird.
Well, this is the shit that you see every day with this company, and it's the Democrat Party, or their party of pedos, because they want to sit there and they want to fight about all these sexual books that are in the school libraries. And how do you agree to talk to little kids, kindergarten and everything, about sexual penetrations and bullshit like that? That's disgusting. That is, we've got people in jail for less than that. But you're letting these drag queens go in there and read these damn ass nasty ass books. I can't even stand it.
Yeah, that is one thing that we should be able to agree on, no matter what side of the political fence you're on.
But
pedophilia, pedophilia is absolutely unacceptable. Sexualizing children in any way is unacceptable. You should be thrown into jail, if not killed, for doing this. Like I said before, I mentioned this maybe a month ago. They actually have a name for pedophiles now. They're calling them minor attracted persons, or MAPS. This is all leftists doing it. This isn't on the right whatsoever. This is all on the left. So it's not surprising that someone like Joe Biden, that's obviously demented at this point, is doing this every time he encounters a kid, because this is probably how they greeted kids on all the trips to Epstein Island. But this guy's so demented, he doesn't know how to turn it off. So this guy has given us a look into how all these people interact with kids behind the scenes. I really believe every one of these people in DC, at least the vast majority, there are some I would say probably aren't, but the vast majority, every one of them have screwed kids. Guarantee it. Just about every one of them. They're all sick, demonic people.
Yes. Now let's get into this. This is something. This is great. You guys didn't see this. You're going to see it now. New York construction worker shares message to Joe Biden. And this was the best ever. But I'm going to let you watch this video of him. This was the best ever. Listen to this.
What's it like seeing so many Republicans in Manhattan, so many Trump supporters in Manhattan? Does that surprise you?
No, not at all. It's turning now. Trump's turn again.
What's your message to Joe Biden?
Fuck you.
Wasn't that great? That was the greatest thing. A reporter asked the worker what he thought of seeing so many Trump supporters in Manhattan, and then to see President Trump. And then he asked the question about seeing so many Republicans in Manhattan and Trump supporters. And does that surprise you? And he said, no, holding a pizza box, and everything. And now the reporter sits there and asks him, what's your message to Joe Biden? I said, I couldn't believe that. It was great. I loved it. I made my day.
Yeah, that's definitely a shared opinion throughout most of the country, especially through much of the working class, but definitely the majority of the country, no matter what field you work in, what state you're in, that's the message that most Americans have for Joe Biden.
But there is a thing out there, and they were talking about it in this article, that Trump has a chance to take New York. Now, wouldn't that be a kick in the ass? That would be a kick in the ass to Joe Biden stealing, New York from the Democrats. That would be freaking awesome.
Yeah. Well, one thing that's going to be interesting here soon. Apparently, Donald Trump is planning to have a rally at Madison Square Garden in New York City. That's where the New York Rangers, the hockey team, and the basketball team, New York Knicks, play. The most famous arena in the country. If Donald Trump packs Madison Square Garden in New York City, man,
that's going to be a sellout.
I think New York is very much in play for Trump. I'm not saying that he's definitely going to win, because it's much like Pennsylvania. There's so much corruption. But I think at the very least, it is going to be a lot closer than people think. I think it's going to be very close, but I'm not counting Trump out of winning New York. I think he's got a legitimate chance. We'll see what happens. Hopefully he does. That would be a kick in the ass to the Democrats if he did.
Oh, hell yeah. But now we're going to get into this, because Joe Biden's actually stealing money from taxpayers in a roundabout way. Now, this is a kick in the ass because Joe Biden's stealing taxpayer money, but would anybody be surprised? Now, the House GOP chairman accuses key government agencies by acting as Biden campaign arm. Now, what it means is now the Small Business Committee chairman, Roger Williams, is demanding more information from the Small Business Association Administrator Guzman, because it appears that they are diverting their resources away from assisting the Main Street like they're supposed to, so they can register Democrat voters. They're not allowed to be doing that. And this is not the only federal agency doing stuff for Joe Biden's campaign. Now, according to Roger Terman, a Republican from Texas, he's saying that there's more to it than this. So I want you to see this real quick about him stealing money from the taxpayers to run his campaign, what they're not allowed to do. Watch this video.
Okay, so this story, the chairman of your Small Business Committee, Chairman Roger Williams, says President Biden is using our tax money, ordering all federal agencies like HHS, like the SBA to get out the vote. He did this with an executive action in 2021. This sounds like cheating and abuse of taxpayers. Are federal agencies now his campaign arm? This sounds like he's breaking the law.
Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. I mean, they are using taxpayer dollars to basically campaign. They're having the SBA and their website and other resources go to areas where they are trying to get additional voters. and their concentration is on signing up new people to vote. And when you start thinking about, what are the ramifications? This is the Small Business Administration. This is SBA. Where do they even play a part in trying to get a voter turnout? That's typically where you're going to see campaign dollars being spent. And by the way, it's even more nefarious. When you start looking at the markets that they're spending money in, that they're actually concentrating on, 22 of the 25 markets that they're looking at are the top Democrat National Committee targets, that where they need to be able to pull out additional voters for Biden to be able to win in his presidential election in November. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is where taxpayer dollars are going. They know that it is an inappropriate use.
No, you know what? Federal agencies should not be acting in campaigns for anyone. Now, this comes as President Biden's reelection campaign is eyeing up Michigan because it's a must-win state for them in 2024. So Biden supposedly I say, beat him in 2020 by less than 3% there. Now, we all know how that goes when it comes to that election. There's so much controversy over that, and the Democrats and any election. But it's not legal for a candidate running for office to use federal agencies and taxpayer funds. You heard it right there. To use them to help him campaign. So now you tell me, why are the Republicans not doing anything? They're not doing a damn thing.
Well, we could ask the question about pretty much everything we've seen since Donald Trump announced he was running for president again. Look at how they weaponized the DOJ against him. Those are government agencies. Those are taxpayer funded. So this really is nothing new. This is what we've seen since Trump announced his candidacy again to run this election. They're using every government agency at their disposal to take out their political opponent. This is what you see in third world nations, what you see in fascist dictatorships. That is what this country has become. That is why we need to vote for Donald Trump. I don't care if you're not a fan of Trump. If you believe in the fundamental American values that this country was founded on, you have no other option but then to vote for Trump. You can no longer claim to love this country and vote for Joe Biden or anybody else that supports this police state that we have seen over the last couple years. You cannot justify voting for somebody else and claim to love America at this point. I hate saying that because it shouldn't be that way, because that's what America is about having, differences of opinion. But this is something that we have to come together on.
Ain't no doubt there. Because this is uncalled for, and the Republicans need to get off their ass, because 3.5 years of Biden failed. Because of 3.5 years, they have done nothing. They've held hearings. They sent letters. They've done nothing. Yeah. And this is really sick and tired of the Republicans not doing a damn thing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think they're ever going to do anything, Charlie. If they were going to, they would have by now. They're on the same team with Biden. They've aligned themselves with the Democrats. They don't want to go after Biden. This is all for show. It's all performative. If the Republicans were a serious party, they would have went after Joe Biden the way the left went after Donald Trump and has continued to go after Donald Trump. They would have hit this guy with everything they had if they were serious, but they're not a serious party.
Well, they
the Republican Party is a joke.
They could have put Joe Biden in impeachment for the border alone.
That would have been the easiest one. That would have been the easiest one. All they do is hold hearings.
You could have impeached him 12 times already, and they did not do shit.
For all the Biden dealings overseas, like we talk about, quite often here. Joe Biden, you do not have to dig hard to file articles of impeachment. There are many things you can get him on. The border would be the easiest, but really, it wouldn't be that hard to do it. They just have to have the will to do it, and they don't have the will to do it. Talking about the Republicans, they don't want to do it. Well, that's what it comes down to.
And I know you guys are wondering why we're bashing the Republicans, and then we sit there and tell you to vote Republican. Well, the Republicans.
It is confusing.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Republicans are the only way we're going to get Trump back in office and keep him in there. Because if we let the
Yes.
Democrats get in there and hold the House and the Senate, Trump is screwed.
Yes.
He will be impeached on day one. It won't take them 4 years to impeach one person like they did
So,
Mayorkas. They will have
right.
him out within a week of his swearing in on the Bible. So
Let
don't get
me
it wrong.
put it let me put it this way, and hopefully this makes sense to everybody listening out there. It makes sense in my head anyway. The reason why we bash Republicans but still tell you to vote Republican is because it is a lot easier to have our desired outcome if we put in candidates that at the very least pretend like they're on our side, because it's going to be a lot harder for those candidates to go against Trump and MAGA if they're running and claiming to be MAGA as opposed to a Democrat that's running on the platform to stop Trump. Does that make any sense to everybody listening out there? It's going to be a lot harder for a Republican to stab us in the back, especially when Donald Trump's back in the White House. These people are not going to get away with near the amount of bullshit that they have when Trump gets back in the White House. But we have to do our part. We have to go out and vote. We have to be out in full force this election because they're going to do everything they can to steal it. You guys know this. We need to make this too big to rig. That's what we have to do. And, we do have to hold the Republicans accountable. We do, because they have screwed us too many times. And like, me and Charlie say all the time, you don't fall in love with the politicians. You fall in love with the outcome. And, the Republicans haven't given us much to be happy about. That is a fact. They've screwed us just about every opportunity they have gotten. Hopefully Trump gets in there, puts them in their place a little bit more, but we have to do the same thing. And we have to let these people know we're watching every single move they make, and we will vote accordingly.
And we definitely got to do that. Now, I'm going to try to fast forward here because we've got about 15 minutes left, because I'm skipping through where.
Damn, that was quick.
Yeah. I'm skipping over a part where there's 13 banks that have been helping the government spy on Trump supporters. There was 13 banks allowing them access to your accounts. And I'm skipping over that part and we're still going to get into the spying stuff and the spying on Donald Trump. And I think that's a little bit more important here. So we're going to get into that. So while we're talking about surveillance and stuff, the documents reveal loose surveillance of President Donald Trump. And it's not like he's not being used to spy on him and the Democrats are doing it, but a federal judge overseeing President Donald Trump's classified documents case unsealed a new trove of documents on Monday, revealing the FBI's code name for the investigation and how the FBI spoke about performing loose surveillance, they call it, on president's aircraft. Now, before this raid in 2022. Now, the unredacted court files made it public by U.S. District Judge, I think it's Aileen Cannon, the one that's doing the Florida trial. But she revealed Trump's code name in the FBI as Plasmic Echo. This is what the FBI uses when they do an investigation into different investigations, especially when it comes to a political person. Now, they used in February 2022, the case file that was attached was marked with redacted, of course, Plasmic Echo, the mishandling of classified or national defense information. Notably, the FBI has used unusual names for prior investigations, such as like the Crossfire Hurricane or Varsity Blues, Tin Panda, and Lemonade. Among these documents the judge released on Monday was the FBI claim from 2022 in which a counterintelligence official, whose name was not included, of course, talked about carrying out a loose surveillance on President Trump's plane. Now, they're not sure which plane it was, but they're thinking it was his Trump Force One. And they spied on it. And this is why the FISA should have never been renewed. This is what's happening. And if the Democrats win in November and take the White House, and it's going to get worse because the digital dollar will come out, like we talked about earlier, It will place the money. The federal government will have free access to spy on every single one of us, control every penny that we make, or even if you have it in your savings. So don't be so naive as to not think this ain't going to happen, because it will definitely happen if we don't win November.
Yeah, that should be more than enough motivation there alone to vote for Donald Trump. Even if you hate Donald Trump, you hate seeing his face on TV, the sound of his voice makes you want to puke. You know for a fact that that is not going to happen if Donald Trump gets in the White House. That should be motivation enough for anybody to vote Trump this election.
Ain't no doubt.
Because this is all happening under Biden's watch. So you can't say that this won't happen under Joe Biden.
Yeah.
How anybody could consider voting for this guy this election, I cannot understand it. I can't.
Well, it's just going to get worse. Everything's going to get worse in this country. And if you don't think it's possible, it's definitely possible.
I really think we are finished if Trump does not win this election. I really believe that. That is how important this election is. So everybody needs to go out and vote. I know we stress that so much on here. We repeat it so much that many of you are probably getting tired of hearing it, but it's very important. Please go out and vote.
That's why we keep repeating it, because I don't even know how to explain how important this election is.
It's probably the most important one we've ever had.
It is. If we want to continue to have the freedoms that we have or supposed to have in this country, we got to get Donald Trump back in there. We have to get our taxes back down so we could afford to live. People are complaining now because they can't put food on the table because the prices have raised 25, 30%. But if you tell an idiot liberal that shit, oh, that ain't true. Well, you got more money than fucking brains. Because
no, the economy is great. It's the strongest economy we've had since FDR.
Right. And we wouldn't have shit like this. I'm trying to skip over here because Russia's threatening the U.S. of consequences now because of the $60 billion that just got signed over to them, to Ukraine. Russia warns that if they get that money, that there's going to be more escalation in an already volatile situation. And that was from their, whatever you want to call them, like the defense, the Antov, because it reflects the stance that Moscow's taking. Such actions, they want close to direct conflict, but America has chosen the path of war and agonizing delays and inevitable collapse of Zelensky's regime. So Anatov told Newsweek, emphasizing Moscow's belief that Washington's decisions are determining the fate of Ukraine and what's going to happen to us. Joe Biden has never been involved in anything. If you don't think World War III is coming, pay attention, because it's right at our doorsteps.
Absolutely, it is.
And now we got Chinese working on bioweapons. It's from a marine-based neurotoxin, and it's raising, of course, the government's going, oh, what the hell? Well, they're letting Chinese run all over us, so now we've got them making these biological weapons that they can use during wartime. Now, I wanted to ask everybody out there, do you think COVID was a biological weapon from China? What do you think, Brendan?
Are you really asking me that? Yes, of course it was. It was a bioweapon that was released intentionally by the Chinese Communist Party.
Funded by America.
Yep, funded by America. They were assisted by many government officials here in the United States, along with Dr. Anthony Fauci, who really should be getting the chair at this point, knowing what we know now. But that's a conversation for another time. But it absolutely was a bioweapon. It absolutely was.
Well,
they knew that it would crash our economy and it would get Trump out of the White House. They knew it.
Well, did you realize the Chinese have already made bioweapons and germ warfare and germ weapons? In the past, they've used anthrax, was developed by them, cholera, and the plague. Every one of those have came from China. Now they're using this one. It's a marine toxin. So they're getting it from the oceans, obviously.
Right.
But it doesn't surprise me because of Anthony Fauci's funding this bullshit, and Joe Biden is letting it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, sorry for our YouTube viewers. This video is definitely getting pulled down after this conversation. So
yeah, because we mentioned the word COVID. Well, you're not allowed to mention the word COVID.
No.
So
no, you're not. No, not unless you're telling people where to get vaccinated, or you're recording a video where you got a mask on and you're telling people to go get their 78th booster or whatever the number is now. But it was absolutely a bioweapon, and I think they're working on another bioweapon, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what this marine toxin is going to be. And
I believe
other
it.
than
That or the bird flu, or it's going to be a combination of the two.
that bird flu supposedly is already kicking its ass around cows and
Apparently.
stuff, and supposed to be working their way to here. But let's
I don't
get
believe
into
a word of that shit.
Oh, no kidding.
No.
But we got I've got a lot. I can't believe how Tom flew today.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
I'm missing like 4 or 5 things I'm trying to skip over here and trying to get to them because we got like 8 minutes left, and I still want to bring up one more thing, but we want to bring up the
At least we got stuff for Monday.
Oh yeah, I got a list. Every day I'm getting more and more and more. So but let's get into the college campuses again, because it's getting out of control. Did you see where the water sprinklers turned on and it was like 29 degrees and those people that occupy the tents got hit with water from the
but that's awesome.
At 4 a.m. the sprinklers kicked on and they were all soaking wet.
you know something else that's funny about this whole thing, and this is how liberals think. Okay, now this is happening at a lot of campuses throughout the nation. It's actually happening up at Pitt, University of Pittsburgh now. These students are not going to class. They're camping out on campus. Some aren't even students. They're just camping out. How that's not trespassing, I have no idea. But back to the students. They're not attending class. They're camping out and they're protesting all day. But they want us to turn around and pay for their debt. This is how liberals think. It's just
right. They got a week left in school too. They said.
Yeah, but every one of these people should be kicked out of school. Their credit should be expunged. So they can't transfer those credits anywhere else. It's as if they never went to school. And guess what? They still got that debt. That's what should be happening to every one of these people, particularly the ones that are threatening Jewish students. Can you imagine if these people all went out in white hoods and were chanting to lynch black people and kill the gays? Can you imagine how quick that would be shut down? Why is it any different when we're talking about Jewish students?
Exactly. The Jewish kids are told to stay home and do their schoolwork
and that's
online.
And that is so unfair to them because they're going there. They want to learn. They're paying their money to go to these institutions. These Sharia supremacists that are intimidating Jewish students, camping out and protesting, they should be the ones kicked out of school, not the Jewish students. They shouldn't have to accommodate these people that are threatening to kill them. This is how ass backwards this nation has become.
Exactly right. Because did you know that in Colombia, though, they are financing this themselves? Because these kids are in the political organizations that are being funded by the schools. So they're actually paying for this.
And who funds just about every major university in this nation? George Soros.
And China.
Those are the two big contributors. And that is why every university is woke. That's why every university sucks, with the exception of a few. I'm glad that I go to the Great Liberty University where we don't have any of that woke stuff. Thank God.
Yeah.
There are a few others, but the majority suck.
Now I'm going to bring this up real quick before we sign off. The Supreme Court justices appear poised to offer Trump some immunity, potentially delaying the January 6th trial. I just got this a couple hours ago. The Supreme Court justices appear poised to offer Donald Trump and future presidents some form of immunity from criminal prosecutions for their actions while in office, while rejecting broad absolute immunity. The nation's highest court's oral arguments on Thursday in a historic case, which the justices acknowledged that the huge implications for not only the former president and criminal cases, but for the America's future. And I know I heard part of it. I didn't get to listen to all of it, but they pretty much all of them, and some of them argued, like you said earlier, Brendan, were not for this. And but the majority are, and they have to allow some immunity for every president, even
Absolutely.
this demented idiot that's in office now, because they all have to make decisions that, in our case, would be illegal if we would do it. But when it comes to saving our country, protecting our country, they have to do stuff that normal people just can't go out in the streets and do. And
Right.
we have to understand that. And
Right.
but it's never brought up like this. And the only reason the Democrats are pushing this is because it's Donald Trump, and he is going to destroy them when he gets back in office. And it's when he gets back in office, because we are going to make sure this happens.
Yeah, and you know something, if I was if I was any of these Republicans, if the Republicans want to show they have any stones whatsoever, okay, they want to play this game, say that Donald Trump doesn't have immunity. Why aren't we going after people like George Bush and Dick Cheney for lying about the reasons we went to Iraq, that we went to the Middle East after 9/11?
Yeah, there was no mass weapons of destruction there.
Yeah, it was proven that it was a lie. Right. We all know it was a lie. Why aren't we going after George Bush and Dick Cheney, especially Dick Cheney?
I said you weren't on my last show. Obama made a bombing, and I didn't look up the name of the bombing again, but he bombed somebody and they killed 2 Americans. That is murder of our own people. If we were going after presidents like that, they would go after him. So
I
mean, there's so many. We could go back to history and look at all the decisions these guys may have to make. They have to make a decision we don't want to make.
Yeah, but I'm telling you what, if they don't rule in Trump's favor on this, because Trump's going to get elected even if he's convicted in the January 6th case, which is the only one that would keep him out of office, because insurrection's the only thing that can bar you from office. That's not going to go anywhere. If they do not award Trump some type of immunity and he gets back into the White House still, should go after Obama, Biden, Bush.
No choice.
Should go after. Yeah, they should at that point. Why not?
Yeah.
If you're going to open that Pandora's box, we should go after every member of Congress that was in favor of invading Iraq and going to Afghanistan, all throughout the Middle East after 9/11. We should go after all those people because they were lying for the reason we were going. They were going because they wanted the oil.
Right. So, all right, now that's going to wrap things up for tonight for the conservative viewpoint. But remember, folks, in this ever-shifting political landscape, truth remains our North Star. As we sign off, keep your eyes peeled for the next chapter, because the story of America is far from over. So stay informed, stay engaged, and let liberty's torch guide your way. So until Monday, I'm your host, Charlie, the Country Conservative, signing off. Have a good weekend, everyone. Good night.
And I'm Brendan Statler. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you Monday. God bless.